Did your grandfather or did they do anything special, or did you all try to accommodate him? Because right now, students that stutter or people that stutter, depending on the magnitude of their stutter, they're eligible to get speech services that's classified as a disability.
Mm.
So did you all do anything to try to help them out, or can you recall that your uncle your granddad, did he do anything special, or was it just something that you all tried to deal with?
No, nor did they do anything in school at that time. They did not. And he was still the center of attraction. It was something that they put you in a class with everyone else, and he would stutter even in his reading, and it was kind of loud. And they, I want to say they endured it. It sounds bad, but uh, you were just put into a regular classroom. There's no special attention given to people who stuttered like that.
Okay. All right. So if you don't mind, as much as you remembers, can you take us to the day of you all going to the store and the interaction with Carol and Brian? Because I know, and I don't know what students know, media, they portray things in a certain light. And my mom was born and raised, like when we talked last week, my mom was born and raised in Tallahatchie County on a plantation. My grandparents were sharecroppers, my great grandparents were sharecroppers. And my mom would always tell me certain things that would take place or certain things that they would do that kind of, I guess the right way of saying is to play mind games or to keep blacks as a feeling of being inferior.
Hmm.
Can you walk us through what you remember about the transactions or the actions that day at at Carolyn Bryant's grocery store?
I think I need to just interject that I too was born in Mississippi. My formative years were spent on plantation sharecropping, and when I left, came to Illinois, I was right at 8 years old. So I knew I was very well informed and knew the ways of the South. No doubt about it. They teach it real early so that black men could stay alive. So when we went back there and we went to the store, and I went in the store, and I knew who I was right away because all of this old training that they put in me, because I heard the story about how people were killed, and once you got in trouble, if you didn't live during that time, even if you read about it, you can't understand what it was like to live in the South. You had
So
no, go ahead.
I'm not to cut you off, but I just want to interject because when we first started this study, and I was a little irritated, a comment was made was, how does this apply to us? This is not important. And no, I was telling my kids that history is history. History repeats itself. If you look at any history, history repeats itself. Even
Hmm.
if you look at the things that's going on right now in Ukraine with Russia, it's just history being repeated itself.
Exactly.
But I'm trying to tell the kids it's important not only to know your history, but the history of not only African Americans, but the history of other races, so you can understand the struggles, so you can understand the trials and tribulations that we've been through.
Hmm.
So could you, while you adding on to it, could you also tell us the importance of just knowing your history, regardless of whether you're black, white, Latinx, Hispanic, Asian, Chinese? It's important to know your history.
As you were saying, and these young people and the young people I talk to, they have no idea what it was like to live in the South. I know how far we've come, and I know how much work we have to do. In the South during those times, you could be killed on the spot, absolutely nothing done about it. You couldn't protect your wife or your daughters hardly from the South. And so we've come from a long way, and the children don't know it because we don't tell it. We're kind of ashamed of our history. So when I hit Mississippi, and right away, my training came to my mind. The yes sirs and the no sirs, and uh, people were killed for reckless eyeball. They probably never heard that term. If you looked at a white woman, you could be killed and absolutely nothing done about it. So I'm going in the store and I'm in there, and I kind of had a flashback the other day. I was in Mississippi and I went in a store, and the setting seemed similar. And this whole fear thing, I relived the whole thing. It seemed all just wrestling flash of a moment as to what happened on that day in Money, Mississippi in 1955. So I'm in the store, and I remember I purchased my thing, and Emmitt came in. And first thing I thought, I said, I hope he got his words together. In the South, they're going to make sure that you say yes, sir, no, sir. They're gonna ask you questions. You can't just say yeah, no, or blah blah. You had to respond in a certain way with certain words. And I was wondering. I said, I wonder if we call him Bobo. I wonder if he got it together today. And I remember fear gripping me. I said, man, I don't know if he got it together or not. But anyway, so I left him in the store. Nothing happened while I was there in the store. And shortly after I came out, my Uncle Simeon went in the store. Uncle Simeon was 12, Emmitt was 14, and I was 16. Went in the store to be with Emmitt. And they made their purchase. And Dr. Henderson, there's so many stories been told about what happened that we don't have a chance. It was 30 years later before they asked me what happened. Eyes on the Prize. Did you see that one? Did you all see the Eyes on the Prize? Have you seen it?
I have, but that was like in the
anyway, what I'm trying to tell you, these stories that got out, and my cousin is telling the story in the Eyes on the Prize as to what happened at the store was not there at all. People wrote our story. They told what happened, and they were not there. So 30 years later, when they interviewed me, I was surprised and hurt and a lot of things. They said Wheeler Parker alleged this is what happened. But they had told the story, what happened at the store. So my story got lost in the wind, so to speak. So all of these stories were told that prevail and still prevail as truth when mine is told as I alleged. Of course,
so
go ahead.
Not to cut you off, that's one of the things that his mom talks about in the book, Women of the Movement. And I guess it's kind of picked up on, if you read the book and if you watch the TV show, and I'm not bashing the NAACP by no means, but she says that how a lot of people came around her and they was with her for the notoriety. It was with her for the money. And she talks about how she really wasn't that, I guess the right word is she wasn't really that educated or knowledgeable to see who was really with her for the right reason to help her and Emmitt out. So, and hearing what you just said, it kind of makes a connection to the book.
Well, even nowadays, you still have people have ulterior motives, and they have goals, and some people want notoriety because of what they've done, and it's mind-boggling to me. One guy is saying that he owned the story. How can you own a story that big? FBI said a story too big for one person. How can you want to own that story? You know, what's your goal? What's your objective in life? And like I say, it was like for 30 years before they even really got us involved. And even now, there's still people who have ulterior motives other than just the truth itself. And that's what I'm looking for, the truth.
So the night that they came and did the kidnapping, do you mind briefly telling us what you remember? What was the atmosphere leading up to? Because I guess if things depicted in the story, in the book, when I say the story, and in the movie, I guess a lot of the blacks knew there was going to be some kind of consequences for what he did. Do you mind telling us how you all felt or what you all talked about leading up to that night in 1955 before he was kidnapped?
Well, you know, it happened on Wednesday when we were at the store. So we left there, and of course, cars behind us, and long story short, they were not after us. And there's a girl in this with us named Ruth. She just passed last year. She said, "Look, this is not over. I know those people. You're going to hear some more about this." Remember, I'm 16, Emmitt 14, Uncle Emmitt 12, mother, Uncle 16, 14. But anyway, he asked us not to tell my grandfather. So we didn't know the community knew about it. As far as I'm concerned, they still didn't know about it, even now. But I think my grandfather said he had heard something later, but we thought it was all hushed, dead, and gone. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, nothing. Didn't look for anything. Saturday, nothing. Early Sunday morning, I hear these guys talking. When I heard them talking, knowing the South, knowing the history of the South, I'm 16 years old. I said, God, I'm getting ready to die. These people are going to kill us. I heard about the story. My dad had to sleep with his gun overnight. They just didn't come that night. My uncle told me about people being hung right down the street from his house. Nothing done about it. I knew I had no protection. My grandfather was there, and my 6 cousins was there, and my 3 uncles along with us. And I said, God, we're a very religious family, and we were taught to call on God. So when death is imminent, you think of all the wrong things you ever done. So I began to try to get my relationship right with God. I said, God, if you just let me live, I'm gonna get all this together. I'm shaking like a leaf on a tree in the dark as 1,000 midnights, 2:30 in the morning on a Sunday morning should be the safest place in the world, at home in your bed, getting ready to go to Sunday school. So my grandfather had no idea what room he was in. It was 6 boys there. So they started in the room. We were in our former landowner's home, not a shack as people depicted. Big former landowner's home, enclosed porch, and off the porch you got 2 rooms, and you got 2 rooms behind those. 4 bedrooms, no hallway. So I hear them coming my way. I'm stretching my eyes, and in they walk with a flashlight in one hand and a pistol in the other. I'm shaking like a leaf on a tree, and they came toward me, and I closed my eyes to be shut. And they didn't shoot me, and they went on. And the next room, my uncle in bed with me didn't wake up. The next room, my cousin Curtis was there. He didn't wake up. In the next room, Emmett Till was there with my Uncle Simeon in the bed, and my Uncle Robert was in another bed. And my Uncle Robert never woke up. And of course, they aroused him, and it was pure terror in that room that day, that morning. I think he wanted to put his socks on, and he just didn't know the Southern mores and how to scrape and bow so to get some respect from them, what they wanted. That's what they want you to do, scrape and bow, and that spirit still prevails. So they left with him. That's the last time we saw him alive.
In the book, there's a section that before he was they actually came to the house. She said that I think you all had went out to Mentor City or to Greenwood.
Greenwood.
All right, you all went out to Greenwood, and when you all got to Greenwood, you all was told to go back in town. So in the book, his mom talks about you all are riding and you all hit something, and it's depicted on the show Women in Movement, but it's not depicted on the show that you all actually got out the truck and all of you all ran through the cotton fields, and some of you all would end up bruised up. Because I guess that was the night that you all really thought that, hey, we're about to die at first.
Well, you got 2 things kind of mixed up there together. Both of them happened, but different times.
Okay.
The jumping out of the car, running it after we left the store, is dusk, and there's a car behind us. So, man, they're after us. So my uncle sped up, and we jumped out and ran through the cotton field, run over each other. That's when they're running and falling and getting bruised up, and we regrouped, and he begged us not to tell. That's when that happened. The dog thing was 3 days later on a Saturday night, coming from Greenwood. My Uncle Maurice hit a dog, and Emmitt is crying about him hitting the dog. And I don't have to tell you, sometime in the summertime, dogs lay on the highway, and But anyway, that's when my uncle hit the dog, killed him because of that. So that's how it played.
Your connection is going in and out, is lagging a little bit, but I think it's good.
Okay.
All right. I also want to ask you about your grandfather, because your grandfather he played a pivotal role. And I mean, the pivotal role could easily have costed him his life. Looking back at it now, I know this might be a crazy question for me to ask because I know the answer. But looking back at it now, how do you view your grandfather for putting his life on the line and speaking out, knowing that once he spoke out and once he did his testimony? Because if you do any kind of search on this trial or on this case, it's automatically going to go to the testimony of Mo's right. How it was so influential, how it was so powerful, how it was major at that time, because at that time that was literally the first time that anyone considered Black African American really took a real stand against injustices or spoke out at the risk of their own life. So if you don't mind, could you briefly tell us what was the environment, what was the atmosphere leading up to him going and speaking at the trial? And also, I also want to ask you this, because I know I'm gonna throw a multiple question at you. We read in the book how Mound Bayou, believe it was Memphis, and Clarksdale, those were the safe houses. Those were the safe houses where that housed Miss Till when she came to Chicago, because if she would have been found in Money or in Tallahatchie County, she possibly could have died. So in the book, she talks about how Mound Bayou was influential in keeping her protected and keeping her safe.
For sure. And you covered a lot there. And I guess we can, the first question, let's kind of go back to that one, is that you want to talk about the conditions, okay, the atmosphere, how my grandfather came to testify.
Yes,
Now,
sir.
my grandfather came to Illinois for a funeral. I had not been home in 8 years. So he was taking me back, and Emmett Till found out that I was going. The connection was that Emmitt had no siblings, so his mother took me along with him on different outings. So he found out I was going, and he wanted to go. And they didn't want him to go because they knew he was a fun-loving prankster, and it didn't fit well in Mississippi. So they finally decided to let him go. So they entrusted Emmett Till with my grandfather, which was his great uncle. And when you lose a child, my grandfather had no other recourse to do but to stand up. He felt obligated, and he was embittered and angry about what had happened. So he just let it all hang out. The same way where she was when she let his body be seen as it was. So he stood up and he pointed out in the courtroom. He could have been killed on the spot. Also, there's a young man who was 18 years old. He did the same thing my grandfather did. He got up in court and pointed them out. And when he and Mamie Till hit Chicago, both of them had nervous breakdowns and had to be put in the hospital the same day. So the atmosphere was horrible, and you had to have lived it to even understand it and respect it. Even the white prosecutor had to have the state police at his house, and he had a lot of threats. His son now lives in Oxford, and I communicate with him. He is to be commended too, but there was always some whites that had the fire in their belly to stand up. That's how we made the progress. That's how we made it where we are, because there's always somebody who was in power and authority, had the fire in their belly to do what's right. So Papa felt like he had to do it.
Did you have the opportunity to view the body, or not, once it was pulled out the river, Tallahatchie River? Did you have the opportunity? They let you all view the body, or?
I left that. They took him Sunday morning. Monday, I was back in Chicago. So she did not let them fix his body up except for this eye. She let him put the eye back in, but his body was just as it was when they pulled it out of the river. And when they exhumed his body 50 years later, the swelling had gone down. They said the body was in better shape 50 years later than it was when they pulled it out the water.
Okay. All right. So with everything that has happened, with everything that has transpired with the case and with the situation, how do you feel now about, President Biden signing the Emmett Till lynching act? And I know there's been discussions about you all possibly receiving a Presidential Medal of Freedom, or because his life it pretty much started the civil rights movement and led to, you could arguably say it led to Freedom Summer down in Mississippi.
Being a preacher and a religious man, it's like an idea whose time has come. But Emmitt was not the first person to experience such atrocities. Miss Rosa Parks was not the first lady that would not give up her seat. But God took this and it catapulted all over the world. I mean, it went all over the world. And I tell people that what happened to Emmitt, and he still speaks from the grave. And that's what I said when I met with the president and at the signing, our conversation. I said, Emmitt speaks, he's speaking now. This is being signed into law because Emmitt Till, one thing his mother said, I hope you didn't die in vain. He did not die in vain, and it's a price to pay. But, and we need to not, like you said, we need not forget, because history will repeat itself if you're not careful.
If you don't mind briefly, and before I open the floor up to the students and ask you questions, because I know you told me an hour, so I'm gonna respect your hour. What was one of the reasons that pushed Emmitt's mom to be? What was one of the things that pushed Emmitt's mom, in your opinion, to become a teacher? Was it to give back, to help I don't even want to make it a racial thing, but was it to help all students? Or was it do you think it was to maybe use her position to talk about the injustices, or just to educate people on knowing their history?
We believe and know without a doubt that everyone has a purpose. Everyone has a calling within them. And her calling, all of our callings, we're here to serve humanity. The happiest people in the world are people who are givers, not takers. So she innately in her, she was well prepared by her mother, not necessarily for this, but for anything that came in life. If you listen to her and her talk, she was well groomed to do her ministry or to do her calling. And she had that fire in her to develop oratorical skills for young people. And innately in her, there was a strong desire to be a teacher. So God told Jeremiah, he said, well, I'm too young. He said, before you were shaped in your mother's womb, I put it in you. Every child that's listening, there's something innately in them that God has put there for the purpose of serving humanity. God told parents, and I teach this all the time, he said, train a child in the way it should go. Find out what I put in there. You have all these students there. Each one of them have something different or something in them to serve humanity. And that's what we need to learn. And it was in her, innately in her, you know. And she went on and became a great teacher, serving humanity. She didn't go forth with no ill will, hate. She said, God took hate out of me 47 years ago. That's what she said in 2003. Great woman, great woman.
So I have two more before I let the kids ask you questions. We read the article, approved killing in Mississippi, where basically the J.W. Miley and Roy Bryant, they admitted that they did it. And one of the brothers refused to take money for it. And I know that article came out, I believe, in the 60s, in the mid-60s, that article came out and was published. How did that make you all feel, knowing 5 to 10 years later, they admitted to something that everybody knew, but there was no legislation. There's really nothing that could be done. And then to have the title, to be bold, in my opinion, to be bold and say, hey, an approved killing in Mississippi is like, this is what we did, and there's nothing you can do about it. How did you all feel? How did your grandfather feel? What was the atmosphere? I mean, did you all try to reach out to anybody legislatively to see if there things could be done?
Well, they admitted it right away. It happened, and a few months later they got paid. And remember, they thought they should have been applauded for protecting a way of life in Mississippi. That they thought they should have been awarded, not arrested. As a matter of fact, when they sent the first police there to arrest him, they wouldn't go. They said that, they cursed and we ain't going nowhere. We're protecting a Southern way of life. But the high sheriff went down and told them they were going to take them dead alive. So they went on and they admitted it, made money, and they were like heroes. I mean, every lawyer in the area became a defense attorney. They raised money for them. They were like little heroes. And then and we didn't talk about it for years, for 30 years. We just didn't talk about it. It's like Emmitt got what he deserved. Then in 1985, things started to change, and it's where it is today. Years ago, what we're doing now would have never happened because America did not take the stand. The FBI would not get involved as a way of life in the South, leave it alone, but we come a long way, and I hope the kids there can realize what it used to be like in the South. They may think it's bad now, but it's nothing like what it was like. And we come a long way, and I just thank God for people like you who I got the fire in your belly to do what you're doing, Innately, it's just there. And next thing you know, you're out there doing it. And they also have something in them to do as well. So those guys, we say everybody reap what they sow. We have some people still, I say, hey, I reap what I sow. Sometimes you know why things happen to you. You don't have to, you just don't tell nobody. Everybody reap what they sow. Otherwise, God got to go apologize to Moses and all them other ones that had to pay.
Okay. Miss Smith, I know your class is participating. Did you all have any questions you would like to ask?
Thank you so much for allowing us to join in. You covered everything. Some of the kids want to know, how did you feel that night? But that was covered. If there was anything you can do to go, to change what occurred, and why was it like you compared to how it is now and how it was back then. A lot of them had questions about that, but you covered all of that. And restating what I tell them all the time, you have to learn and appreciate the sacrifices made in the past to understand and appreciate the things today. And to be that change that you wanted to happen. You have to be that change. Yes, sir. Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Miss Smith.
Yes, sir.
We have a serious problem among our youth in Chicago with the violence against each other. It's mind-boggling and unbelievable. They go crazy if a police shoot one, they can kill 10 in a week. And then in Chicago, it happened. 10 people can get killed in a week in Chicago. No outrage. They won't tell them. They won't deal with it. Please tell those children, don't be like that. Don't get that Chicago spirit. But it's terrible up here.
Now, we are blessed in Bogalusa that we have a relationship with the police department, and they try to speak with the kids. We recently went and visited the police, but we do have a problem with fighting amongst teens. We've lost several of our students due to gun violence this year in Bogalusa. So I'm hoping that would get better.
Yes, and the church got to get involved. I mean, we as preachers, they don't like for me to say that, because we go to church when we don't go nowhere else,
That's
so
right.
we got to take a more active part in trying to help our children. Because in Chicago, the way they're headed, it is horrible. I mean, they shoot people for no reason. I mean, on expressways, it's like having target practice, and in a year's time, we're going to lose probably 600-700 people to gun violence. That's horrible.
We recently lost a young man who was coming home from school, and not only did they kill him, they ran over him as well. As going through some things. And I think in regards to church, because of COVID, kids are not really going like they used to. I think I kind of lack on that part. And hopefully when we get over this COVID, they'll get back involved in going
Right.
to church in Sunday school, because I feel
Mhm.
like that's very fundamental in
Very
shaping who they will become. Yes, sir.
right. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you, Dr. Henderson. Thank you, Dr. Parker. Dr. Parker, we appreciate it. Anything you guys like to add or say? Okay. Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Smith. We have a few questions for some of the students, so I have to mute my microphone and turn myself down so they can ask you, Mr. Reverend Parker.
All right.
Hey, Mr. Parker, how you doing?
How you doing, sir?
My question to you is, can you describe how the moments of Emmett Till trial affected you?
I think first of all,
Mr. Reverend Parker, hold on one second. Let me get him to come up to mine because it's echoing. Because come here, come on, huh? Come sit right here. There you go.
I gotta do all that. That's an extra. My question to you is, can you describe how Emmett Till trial affected you?
I think at one time I thought this was the first time that a white man was being tried for doing something to a black, but it was the second one. The thing that stands out to me most is that they had a trial. Normally back in the day, nothing would have been done or said. It was over and done. Emmitt was not the first person that did things. Miss Rosa Parks was not the first lady, but it showed progress. It showed that we are progressing. And they had a trial accusing two white men for doing something to a black person in the South. That was a milestone, believe me. It may not seem like much to you, but for that to happen in the South, it was it went by like we thought it would, but to have it. So that's how it affected me. And I can see now they will try you now. So that's about all I can say about that. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, here they come with the questions, Mr. Parker.
All right, no problem.
Hey, Mr. Parker.
How you doing, sir? And you are?
Barnett Tickles.
Okay.
My question is, do you wish you could testify?
At the trial, I probably had so much fear. What's your name again?
Barnett.
Okay. I had so much fear. I got out of Mississippi as soon as I could. I knew you. And Emmitt's mother went to court every day. Her biggest concern, could I get killed in the courtroom? And that says a lot. Mm-hmm. Because you had no protection. FBI, I mean, it's hard to believe that Mississippi was like that, but we come a long way, partner. Long way. She wonder if she can get in out of the court alive every day. My grandfather went home one night. He couldn't sleep. He slept in the cemetery. They said white men was around your house all night. He could have been, if he'd been there, he probably could have been killed. Absolutely nothing done about it. And you guys don't understand that because we don't teach it. We don't tell our history. We just let it slide on by. But you all need to know the sacrifices that has been made and where we came from. Thank you. Did that answer your question?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay.
Hey, how you doing, Mr. Parker?
How you doing, sir?
Hey, my name is Deshaun Fizel. What were your thoughts when Emmett Till death happened?
What was my thoughts when Emmett Till's death, when he was killed? Oh my goodness, I don't know if I ever thought about it so much like that as but we were in such a shock and such an unbelief that this is Mississippi. I tell you what, it leaves you feeling helpless.
Mm-hmm.
You knew it could have happened, son. That's why they didn't want him to go down there, because they knew this could happen. He shouldn't have never gone. They should have never let him. When you went south, they tried to protect you and teach you. She said she gave him a crash course, but you can't do that going to Mississippi. Plus, when you went there, they always kept some adults with you. But my uncle, he was 16, he had use of the car, and we were kind of loose, not making trouble, but we needed an adult supervisor with us, and they'd have been there, and they'd have snatched you right out the store, or they'd been right in there with you. That's where they usually did that. So, but we didn't have that with us, and my grandfather was, even then, he's 60-something years old, you know. So that's the way that went. I hope I said something to help you understand. You have another question? You have another question?
I think we have two more, Mr. Parker. I'm under your time. I think we have two more.
Okay.
Yes.
Hey, Mr. Parker, my name is Trinity Brown. My question is, what do you think inspired Emmett Till's mother to have his casket open at his funeral?
What do I think about that?
Hold on, let us say it one more time. Speak a little bit louder.
What do you think inspired Emmett Till's mother to have his casket open at his funeral?
In hindsight, I think it was a good thing, because a picture is worth 1,000
words.
It speaks by. If that picture had not been shown, we would not have the sympathy and the force that we have behind it. So she did the right thing. She did the right thing, and God gave her the courage and the power to do it, and she did it.
This last question, I wanted to ask you this, and before we get off, if you don't mind, I'm gonna try to get the kids to come around my board. We're gonna try to take a picture. What how did your grandmother feel, your grandfather's wife? Because I know they only showed that she offered money.
Mm-hmm.
And in the book, Death of Innocence, it said that Emmett's mother says that she offered money, she offered land, she offered everything that she could.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you think she wasn't a major player as far as participating at the trial, or why was she never called? Or was it just at that time women had a certain role that they had to play?
Well, my grandfather was the main person, and his things were sufficient, what he did. And grandma left there that morning, and we didn't see her anymore until we got to Illinois. She was so devastated and so hurt to lose her nephew, and they were kind of special. They had a special bond together. So grandma just she did what women did, you know. She played her role. She did it well. She offered money, tried to get some help. She went next door to the white man that lived next door, tried to get help. He wouldn't help, so she played her role well.
Okay. Well, Mr. Parker, I really want to thank you for you taking the time out, because I know what you offered us for this past hour. You could go to CBX, Fox, CNN, and they could pay you thousands upon thousands of dollars just to talk to us. So I really appreciate you doing this, just taking the time out your life. And I know, you know, you are getting older, and I'm quite sure this is something.
No, I done got old, man. Ain't no getting old. When you get 80, that's a privilege. I'm 83. So.
Well, hold on. Miss White has her hand up. Hold up. Go ahead, Miss White.
I just my name is Sheila White. I'm Miss White here at the ALC school. And Mr. Reverend Parker, it's just an honor to meet you. First thing I want to say to you. And the second thing, I'm gonna make this quick, is you remind me so much of my mother with her spirit. She's 86.
All right. Right on, mama.
So she raised us to believe the same things, and she put those values into us and taught us the way the way that we should go. I mean, it doesn't say, it says train them up the way they should go. And when they get old, they won't depart from. So in between that time, it's a give and take. But my thought with that is, I just want to let you know that I am so honored right now to be on this site to listen to you, and you just bringing back so many stories of what my mother have told me, and that I'm conveying to my children, that the children on this site really don't understand the depth of the danger it was just to be a person of color.
That's right. That's right.
So
I think we should say it, but we don't tell it. I don't know. The Jews, you know, they're trying to stop the Jews from talking about the Holocaust. They say, y'all gonna forget that. We're gonna tell it until we die.
No, and it's something that we cannot forget, and it's something that we should not forget, because it's just like a cycle, is what you're saying. And but what my thing is, I always tell my students is, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. That fear is reverence, it's love, it's respect. But fools despise. I mean, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, but fools despise wisdom and instruction. And that's my thing that I try to tell them, to keep a straight path to knowing and listen. And what you're telling me is from him, he really didn't listen. And it's just a way of life for us. And we have to get back to teaching our children that. And thank you so much for coming on. And Mr. Jackson too, he's in here.
Hold on, Mr. Parker, Mr. Graves, Dr. Robinson. I didn't know if you all had anything you all wanted to say.
Yes.
No, just at this time, I do want to just thank you for, I'm honored. Thank you, Mr. Henderson, for making this happen. Thank you, students and teachers, for your questions and for your interest. And it's just a blessing for me to just be able to hear and listen and let this story still go on and to help our students. Thank you is all I have to say. Thank you, Mr. Henderson.
Dr. Robertson.
Reverend Parker, it's indeed a pleasure to listen to you this morning. I had a couple of my students behind me. I'm at Prairie View University right outside of Houston, Texas. And we thank you for providing Lewis's class with your experiences. And it really means a lot to us to really learn from that period of time, and even, like you said, to see the progress that we made, and even the work that we need to take forward. And so we appreciate you and all that you do. And thank you.
All right.
You're welcome.
I don't know if Mr. Herbert or was able to get on, or Miss Gregory or Miss Grantham.
Thank you, Mr. Henderson. I would just like to say how much I appreciate you coming on, and you're arranging this for all of us to see this. Even though I am no longer in the classroom, I appreciate what educators do today to remind our students of just how good they have it in the class and in the society today. They have privileges our older people never had. And we recognize that, Dr. Parker. We appreciate your coming on. Thank you so much for doing this, Lewis. I mean, excuse me, Mr. Henderson. I'm sorry. Mr. Henderson is one of my sons. But I appreciate that, Mr. Henderson. Thank you very much.
And Reverend Parker, you and Miss Grantham might be in the race. I think you told me last night you were 79 or 78.
Me?
No, Miss Grantham. You
Oh,
told me she must.
Oh, I'm 78.
Okay, so I knew you all was around the same. And I want to tell you, Mr. Parker, Miss Grantham, when I first started teaching way back in 2007, Miss Grantham was very influential, very helpful. Miss Grantham we actually read the first, I think it was 5 chapters together. And I'll call her. All right, I read this chapter. She'll call me. We'll talk about it.
Okay.
And so, and I'm quite, you see now, Miss Grantham, she's white, but I call her my white mom. Well, I need to say my white grandma. But yeah, she really pushed me to really go depth into this book. And a lot of my kids don't know it, but she really pushed me to do a lot of things in the classroom regarding ACT and other things to help them out. So I really appreciate you, Miss Grantham. Miss Gregory.
I mean, Mr. Herbert could not make it. That's why I asked if you could send the recording, but I've been here the whole time. And thank you, Dr. Parker. I enjoyed listening very much. And soon to be Dr. Henderson. And does that make me your white sister?
Sure. All right, so we're gonna take this picture, Mr. Parker. So y'all come up here, so I can. Y'all log off. Log off.
Tyreek.
Okay. Hold on. Come right here. Come right here, so I can get the picture. And look, and then, hey, let me tell y'all something.
Well, while he's not talking, hey, burnt corn.
Hey, I have a lot of memories from that time. How you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you, Miss White? I
miss you so
I need
much.
to stop by and see you.
Yes, you do.
I'm trying to get it together, Reverend Parker. We got they act like they haven't took a picture before. So if I take a see you, Miss Stennis. I mean, Miss Smith. Thank you. All right, there we go. Got it. All right, hi. Let me get you come right here, huh? Thanks. Yeah. Oh, hold on, now you on the
Some of y'all need to come over here.
No, come, just sit right here. Come on, the man gotta get off.
There you go. All right, and the girls who are three in the line, we can't see y'all.
Take the mask.
That way.
All right, say cheese. All right, say cheese, Mr. Parker. Wave at it. One more, Mr. Parker.
I'll take another.
All right.
All righty.
You got it?
All right, yes, sir. We had, hey, Mr. Parker,
I'll send you mine.
okay, thank you. Don't, Mr. Parker, I'm going to send you something for helping us out and do what you did today.
Okay.
I know I don't have your home address, so is it fine if I send it to the church?
It's okay. Yeah, fine.
What restaurants y'all have up there?
What restaurants?
Yeah.
All of them.
Well,
we got IHOP, we got Applebee's, we got
no. I'm talking about like a real restaurant, like
what's the one? They got everything you want.
Well, no, where you want to eat at. You just tell me the place you want to eat at, and I'm gonna send you the gift card. Close the door for you.
Okay. I'm
just
trying
tell me the place. If you want multiple, just tell me the places.
I'm trying to think of the one I like, the Italian restaurant. What's the name of it?
Olive Garden.
There you go. I like
All right. So Olive Garden. Is that the only one you?
I keep it simple, man. And
Someone
I'm an Applebee's man too. I'm an Applebee's man.
All right, Olive Garden.
Applebee's.
You want me to send these to the church?
Yeah, just make it to my name. Yeah.
Okay.
You want to send it to my house? I give you a house address.
Can you email me your house address?
I have my wife there. I don't do emails.
Okay,
text,
yeah.
I'll do text, email, none of that.
Okay, yeah. Email me your or text me your address, and I'll put it in the mail for you because I really appreciate it. And I want to reward you for your time because you did not have to do what you did. You did not. So
I need you to text me that information again from your dad, talking about the relationship with your uncle. That was your uncle.
Oh yeah, I can read it to you right now.
No, just send it to me. Send it to me. I was erasing stuff and lost it. Just send it to me again.
Okay.
He's talking about Miss Tucker.
Yeah, that's my Miss Tucker is my my grandfather's first cousin. So my
Well,
uncle.
I want to share with my cousin who he's 85 and he lived in that area. So I want to talk to him about it.
Okay. All right. I'm a hope I didn't delete it off my phone.
Well, if you did, it's okay.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna send this to you, and I'm gonna send you the gift cards, and I really, really appreciate it. I need y'all to say thank you on 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay.
All right.
All right. And I made your hour because it's 9:44.
Look, if you're in Chicago, holler at me.
Yes, sir. Okay.
Yeah. All right.
All right. All right. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Yes.